But with Heal, there was a targeted, like, we really want to impact the individual. That was the key. And that's, with a lot of my films, it's mostly that. It's less going at the system and trying to change the healthcare system. It's how can we talk to the individual, and then they make a change, and then their friend sees that, and then they make a change, even if it is a little woo-woo. People, they notice.
Adam!
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you
Hi,
so
Koya.
much for coming on today.
My pleasure.
We're just laughing because we got talking about relationships and he's over here blushing.
I know. I think it's hot in here or I'm blushing, one of the two.
It's definitely hot.
Because the stuff I can talk about later, when we talk later, is pretty interesting things from Portugal. So we'll get there.
I'm really excited because you make movies and documentaries, and not just your ordinary, documentaries. Mm-hmm. What would you say sets your documentaries apart? Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it's apart, but I know what I focus in on is the empowerment, right? That there's some level of empowerment. So even if it's a social issue, I've gone to Kazakhstan to look at the nuclear testing that happened there. It's then offering some level of solution and or showing what the people are doing themselves to solve the problem or to lift themselves up. So there's no pity, so there's no victim, right? So we get in this dark victim mentality around documentaries sometimes, maybe that vicious kind of thing. And then Women of the White Buffalo, another documentary that deals with the missing, murdered indigenous women, likewise of the Native American women, likewise showing what the women are doing in that culture to kind of pass on the wisdom again and bring back the Native spirit to help break some of the cycles of addiction and rape and things like that.
And tell us a little bit about that, because I know that, me being, Native American, being part of my heritage, I do feel like we don't hear enough stories about Native Americans. Yeah. And so can you share a little bit about that project?
Yeah, it just finished, so it's going to be at a film festival here in Los Angeles in November 14th. It'll be the closing night. So Women of the White Buffalo, we were there filming for a good month on the reservation in South Dakota. And, it started off just really focusing on the missing, murdered indigenous women, the rape culture, the sex trafficking culture that exists, that people don't think exists in this country. And then it broadened to look at really the whole genocide that happened of the Native Americans since the beginning of the settlers, if you will. Settlers is the wrong word. Conquerors is the land was settled. Agriculture, trade routes were happening. People came in and conquered, right? So it's everything from how they kind of broke down a culture, broke down a spirit to try and separate them and separate their children back in the day and break the lineage of spirit, and to how it continues today in a more subtle way. Mm-hmm.
And talk about the break the lineage of spirit, because it's so true. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't see the way we are oppressed and broken down even in today. Because I feel like there are microaggressions you don't even see. They're in the music, they're in TV. And can you talk a little bit about what you saw in learning about what these are?
Yeah, I think anytime you take the spirit out of their culture, then there's trouble. I think that's actually the trouble with America in general, is that we maybe replaced spirit with this idea of freedom that was centered around materialism or freedom through money, right? And thus we lost our spirit, and that's great for those that want you to feel that way, separated and locked into a system. But in a more concerted effort, and I'm not a conspiracy guy that says, there's these people trying to do that, but there was that happening with the Native Americans, trying to break their spirit, first of all, on a cultural standpoint, or even just survival, take away their food, kill the buffalo. And then on a lineage type of manner, they would take the kids and put them in boarding schools and reintegrate them, so to speak, westernize them. And when you kind of delete a generation from the spiritual lineage, then it's tough. Then what do they teach their kids?
Right.
And especially if the next generation isn't as connected to their grandfathers and grandparents, for whatever reason, then it becomes difficult to then, like, okay, if you don't have spirit, then what do you have? And all you have is what you're given, and you're given some low quality food, the land that's not great, and not much hope. And so a lot of people turn to alcoholism and drugs and all that kind of thing. And some would even say that meth was, purposely introduced in those areas to to keep people down. But it's pretty devastating, when you think that some of it could have been consciously done and was consciously done. While we were filming, you keep your wits about you and you keep on task. And me personally, try not to get too emotional. But when I got back, it was weeks of just processing. As you know, having just gone on a trip, right? It was like, didn't cry for a month, got home, cried for 2 weeks straight. And didn't want to be American. Just did not want to be from this country deeply. Was very, it was like, I'm going to burn a flag on Facebook. My friends like, calm down. Calm down, Adam. You don't need to do that. But that's the cool thing about making documentaries. You get to really go places and people open up and you experience things that you just really wouldn't. And it's hard to convey in a film, but we try to do it. Like with Heal and these other projects, we just want to really empower people in the end to show them that there is hope and there are people doing things, bringing back the spirit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, because I know a lot of people, it's not easy to talk about these things. It's not easy to realize what was done like years and years ago is still happening.
Yeah.
And what can we do about it?
Yeah.
And what you're doing about it is making amazing films so people can be empowered and people can change.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't give everyone the background because I was laughing about the relationship thing, but how we met was filming the documentary Heal.
Yeah.
I am so excited because I remember watching Heal and being like, yes, 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 and feeling so connected to it.
Yeah. And
somehow miraculously, here I am,
Yeah.
and so grateful for the opportunity to share.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about Heal and what your intentions are with Heal?
Yeah, so Heal, we started, we released in 2017. We started the beginning in 2016. Kelly had the vision, Kelly Noonan-Gores had the vision to really, again, empower people to know that they can use their mind, their thoughts, their emotions to heal the body. And in general, that we look at it more holistically. So it's not anti-Westernism, or Western medicine. It's how do we include these other things that we all know about, that a lot of us know about, that not everybody is really aware of, or kind of, it is proven scientifically, but it's not being integrated in the health system. So the power of stress, the power of our thoughts and beliefs, the power of maybe doing some traumatic release, or working on our emotions, that affects our body. So it's in some ways very simple, but we make a really good argument throughout with the science and following characters, and then expand it a bit more to say, okay, now what about meditation and prayer, and get a little more wide in our scope. But it's really hard for we made it for the main audience, the broad audience, so to speak, so that thankfully it gets to a lot of people. So we're not pushing people away with woo-woo talk, with chakra talk. I know you're on the chakra tour.
I love the chakra.
I know you're on the chakra tour.
I'm obsessed. Well, the reason I'm obsessed is because, look, I didn't learn this in church.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up understanding like the chakras and our spiritual energy centers, but I felt them.
Yeah.
Being empathic and being very sensitive, I'm having all these feelings and I don't understand them.
Yeah.
So once I came across the system, I'm like, oh my goodness, this totally makes sense now. It's like when I first learned about plant-based nutrition, you want to share everything. And so now I'm sharing it a lot, and I know people think it's woo-woo and get scared, but hopefully, I'm hoping they're like me, they start to realize the synchronicities, and they realize, oh, that's why I feel that feeling. Oh, that's why. I went to Egypt and my third eye area is sore. So many downloads, every single day.
Still tingling, still buzzing.
It's still buzzing.
Yeah.
And, having that gut feeling in our stomach, and what is that about? And so when you feel having heart pains and someone losing a loved one and all of a sudden they have a heart attack, why? Yeah. So these things are real, and I know it doesn't seem, and I do try to be a little hip with my share, but
hip with my share. Yeah.
I have to, but but it's so real and it's so profound, and it's so simple. I feel like I want to share it with everyone.
As you should.
Yeah.
For sure. And same with the film. It's not going to reach everybody, all the films we do, but with Heal, there was a targeted, we really want to impact the individual. That was the key. And that's, with a lot of my films, it's mostly that. It's less going at the system and trying to change the healthcare system. It's how can we talk to you, talk to the individual, and then they make a change, and then their friend sees that, and then they make a change, you know. Even if it is a little woo-woo, people, you know, they notice.
Right.
They notice, so yeah.
What's been one of your favorite responses you've gotten from releasing Heal?
Oh my gosh, that's the cool thing about this film is there's a lot of them. There's a lot of feedback, which is nice as a filmmaker to know that you have impact. That was the number one reason Kelly wanted to do the film, the number one reason I signed on. And I mean, we just the other day, it was somebody that had, I believe, pancreatic cancer that through Instagram reached out, you know, through the Heal documentary Instagram and said, they all said I was terminal, blah, 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 4 months to live, this and that. I saw your movie, I turned everything around, I'm cancer free. There's just so many stories where it's not that the film necessarily healed anyone, but gave them that hope, twisted the way they thought about it, and then they took action. It's like they had a supportive friend that they didn't have before. Because maybe they were somewhere in the Midwest where they're not surrounded by it every day here in Santa Monica and Marina Del Rey. You know, where
it gave them hope.
It gave them hope. It gave them possibility and gave a few modalities, and then, or like you said, like it resonated. You know, something inside them was like, yeah, I knew that. I don't have to be a victim to this. I got this. Right. So there's a lot of those stories, really, of people just turning around from terminal illness.
Right. And like you said, empowerment. You're empowering them to take control of your life.
Yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And what is your favorite piece from the doc? Everyone has their favorite part or their favorite piece or their favorite interview or whatnot.
You know, I mean, my favorite piece, I mean, the favorite person to interview was Greg Braden, because he spent the whole day with us in Santa Fe. It wasn't just, you know, hey, I have a few hours, because most people are in a busy schedule. He said, no, we're hanging out all day.
Oh, I love that.
Taking to my favorite lunch place. Then we're going to go up the river, up to Colorado. We'll film more there, Adam, you know, and then we're going to go to Taos if we have time. So we all just hung out. So that was my favorite interview. But my favorite moment in the film is when we talk about children. Because it's not a concrete answer, and it just shows that we're opening the door to possibility. We're not preaching in the film. We're saying, well, what about children? If it's all emotional, they haven't had trauma yet, per se. And what is that? Is it their karma? Is it this and that? And then on a personal level, I filmed I guess you call her my stepdaughter, kind of, or my ex's daughter, so my ex-stepdaughter. Just call her Macy.
It's complicated, right?
I know, I just call her Macy. I take her to school sometimes still, and they're like, is this your dad? And they're like, no, that's Adam. That's it. You know, it's just that. So we're still buddies, but just seeing her in the film is really, really special for me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And what do you feel like, you know, from going through all of these interviews, how do you feel like it's impacted your life?
For Heal or for everything?
For everything.
Oh my gosh. It's been a 10-year run of the documentaries, and how it's impacted me is, you know, you're talking about like chakras and just gut feelings, and it feels like certain films come in for a certain reason, you know. So I think it's been a very nice way for the universe to communicate to me and teach me things that I wouldn't have learned about. Nuclear testing in Kazakhstan, alcoholism, the film One Little Pill that we did, that taught me a lot of compassion for addiction. Heal taught me a ton about the details, because I come from a yogic background in India and that, but that subset of healing, I didn't know a lot of those experts in that genre. So I learned a lot about the specifics around healing the body that I passed on to my parents, and they use at times, and I pass on to friends and family all the time. So that's super helpful when someone can come to you and say, I have a thyroid issue, and you can go, yep, I know who you need to find, who you need to talk to, go get that guy's book, or go see Rob Wergen, you know, et cetera. And 3 months later, they're doing amazing, and that's really cool. So I think it's really, it just opens me up to these different places that I never would have known I would see. Even motorcycling, I'd never motorcycled in my life. And that was my first film, The Highest Pass. My guru in India, now I'm the woo-woo one, but my guru in India said, hey, you want to ride motorcycles over the highest road in the world? And I had never ridden a motorcycle in my life. I thought they were stupid. I thought they were dumb and dangerous. And I said, yeah, of course, I'm in. It's my guru, it's the Himalayas. So I got to learn how to motorcycle for, you know, that's really for my life, but ended up being a documentary, and then created this series that we're about to launch in February.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. And your passion project, a project you're excited about, Road to Dharma. What is Dharma?
Well, wow, what is Dharma? That we explore that through the whole series, and the cool thing, and there's a course built around the series as well, a course in freedom. And Dharma could be truth, right? In general, truth. Dharma could be duty. Dharma also could be responsibility, which is similar to duty. But all of this kind of comes with freedom. You know, as you're practicing freedom, you know, one could say your Dharma is something also, or it could also be the way you're living is your Dharma. Like, I don't feel karma is something you have. Karma is like how you're being. You're either creating karma, or maybe you could say you're creating Dharma. You're either being in truth, or you're being in the ego, and you're being in the Maya, the illusion, and you're creating pain. So if you wanted to create opposites, maybe it's like that. But truth and duty are probably what we really get into when we get there. The show is really all about freedom. Season 1's all about freedom, and through that freedom, you start to understand what's my responsibility. You know, as you become more free, oh, my responsibility is to share this. My duty is to share this. That's why you feel so pulled to do it. My duty is to help some other people. Because what are you going to do? Just go to some utopia and kick it? You know, on the beach, none of us are called to do that, to just sit back on the beach and just kick it.
What do you feel, speaking of freedom, what do you think about the concept of free will?
Yeah, we have it.
Do you feel like we're all here for a purpose, it's laid out, or do you feel like we have a choice in it?
Yeah, I think there's 2% fate.
2%.
2%. That's it. That's it. You know, there's bigger movements that we're going toward no matter what. But I think 98%, yeah, it's all our willingness, all our courage. We have the choice. Yeah.
And what are you choosing right now?
Right now? I'm really choosing, you know, currently by working on the Road to Dharma, you know, full time and full on, choosing faith and choosing to recognize that I'm choosing gratitude, that I'm grateful for the resources I do have. And if I was to look at myself from someone else's point of view and be like, how could you not choose to put everything into that right now? You know, regardless if it's risky or it takes a little bit of faith, or financially, who knows what's going to happen, you know? You have an opportunity to share something really cool, really special that can inspire a lot of people. You know, we motorcycle through the Himalayas. It's adventure. It's real drama. It's not this made-up reality show. It's not overproduced. People can die. And so we're practicing these ideas of freedom in actual real stake situations. So it's powerful. And you get to watch story and watch characters, people on the verge of divorce, try and work it out through an adventure, through a 10 episodes to 4 sacred sites. So, I mean, I'm practicing a lot of faith because it's not like the networks are clamoring necessarily for stuff that's a little out of the box. But I know it's the thing people want and people need. And if even it was my last $10, you know, I should be putting everything I have into it. Because, you know, from a different point of view, like, we are incredibly, like, wealthy, incredibly connected, incredibly well off, and like we might say to a billionaire, what are you doing with your resources? Someone else might say to us and be like, what are you doing with your resources?
Absolutely.
And so I remind myself of that a lot right now, and practice that faith and gratitude to just keep on this project. I really want to share it. It is my passion project. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you have any more passion projects that you're working on?
Oh, there's a couple feature docs that they're in the baby stages, and I can't really talk about it.
Can you talk about the sites, the sacred sites that you visit, or do you have to?
Yeah, of course. I mean, like, spoiler alert?
Spoiler alert.
No problem. No. So we start in Rishikesh, which is known as a spiritual, the beginning of yoga in Rishikesh, India, along the Ganga River. And then we go to Kedarnath, which is all about death, and really the death of the ego, annihilation of craving, and the way we blame, the ways we escape instead of just take responsibility for what's going on and what we're feeling, you know, basic stuff. But even on a pilgrimage with a guru in the Himalayas, people are complaining about, you know, wet blankets and I'm cold, and it always comes up, you know. No one's immune from triggers.
Right.
No one is immune. And when you're triggered, you will absolutely take whatever the circumstances are and use them to justify the trigger.
Right.
So if you're triggered and it's cold, you know, you're going to use that and the blankets in any way you can to justify that you don't feel good.
Right.
This is stupid. What am I doing here? Whatever it is. So Kedarnath is all about the death of that ego. And then after Kedarnath, we go to Tungnath. Oh my gosh, Tungnath is the gap, so the space in between, which I don't give a lot in between my words. I just keep talking. But the space between, I know people's attention spans are short and they want to get to the point. Tungnath is about the space between. It's really beautiful because there's two temples there. One's a Shiva temple, and then we go to the feminine. The feminine's always above the masculine. So if you look at Shiva, it's got the crescent moon up above. And so that's the feminine Chandrashila, the crescent moon, because the feminine, the creation's always above the destruction. So literally, you get to the Shiva temple, and you go up to the higher at 13,000 feet, and it's shaped like a crescent moon, meaning the whole mountain up there. And all the men that went up there just started crying. And, it's just like a leveler. Something about the energy up there just leveled people. And I don't know what, and I don't know why. But, and then we go to Badrinath, which is like sustenance, the practice. Even the best yogis, like there's a rating system. But, but the wisest yogis have to sustain the practice. It's a practice. So Badrinath is all about that. That's high up in the Himalayas. It's pretty much you're 50 kilometers from Tibet. Between there and Tibet, there's nothing but Himalayas. So you just kind of feel this Himalayan juice coming at you. The first time I went there, I was really just wanted to leave the group and just go.
Right.
I'm like, okay, that's it for me. I'm walking in the Himalayas, guys. See you later. See you, society. And then the final one is Hemkund Sahib, which is a Sikh temple. It's at 15,500 feet. There's a lake up there. It's all about service. So as, again, we get toward this deeper levels of freedom, we realize the duty and the service. And sometimes it's the other way. Like you serve and then you start to realize freedom. But, either way, service is a big part of freedom. And we dip in these freezing waters, and it's an incredibly beautiful place to be because it really is just all these people that are there just helping each other, feeding each other. And then, of course, you go back to Rishikesh, and things happen there in episode 9 and 10. That's when things get juicy for me.
Yeah? How do they get juicy?
Well, some things happen in the river, in the Ganga. So you'd think most of the drama would happen on motorcycles, but after we're done the whole trip, then back in the river, some things happen to me there.
And water is very detoxing, right? And so I've noticed that, I like to live by the water because it keeps me, for me, it personally keeps me detox and it purifies me. Just glazing at the water and just sun gazing, moon gazing, it does help detox my entire beingness. And so have you noticed the same with water and its cleansing properties?
My God, I swim 3 times a week just to get that feeling, get that salt water, just be by the beach, nature.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And listening to all these interviews, have you heard a lot of people talk about the powerful and cleansing and healing effects of water?
Kelly really loves that, right? Like with, what was this, Inamoto, what's his name? The Japanese guy that studied the water, and if we talk to the water.
Yes, that's on YouTube. You can see it on YouTube.
Yeah.
What you say to the water, what you write on the bottle, it affects the water.
And regardless if you believe that experiment, because, people like to knock it down and stuff. Regardless, hop in the ocean and you feel it. You know it, right? That's why we take showers. This is, it's amazing.
Right.
And you definitely can affect the water. Even the water you drink, it feels like it's almost the most easy thing to affect, right?
Absolutely.
That you can do that. And the Ganga, when I'm at the river, she speaks to me. When I was at the lake in the Himalayas, it spoke to me. I could see a face in the, if you will, a spirit of the water, and we had a little conversation. It could be all in my mind. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to me. That stuff you don't need to prove. But the water is powerful. In this case, the Ganga, taught me a nice lesson. She smacked me down. It wasn't so much a soft lesson.
It wasn't a soft blow.
No.
And how has it been in your life? Have you had some really heavy blows, or has it been easy sailing for you?
Easy sailing? No, nothing. I wouldn't say easy sailing, but possibly because I made some choices early on to not do the normal thing. So maybe that saved me from kind of having to get whacked too hard. But I've gotten knocked down with injuries here and there. The last motorcycle trip I was on, I broke 5 ribs, and it was clear there was no reason to fall, and I didn't fall. Like, we were in the middle of him, I got pushed down, like something knocked me down. And it was cool, it was a good lesson. So I broke 5 ribs, that's fine, but I got a great lesson out of it.
What was the lesson?
The lesson, actually started in the Road to Dharma, in the Ganga, which was I kind of took on somebody else's fear in the river. It doesn't spoil it too much, but there's some potential drowning happening, and I really took on somebody else's fear. I had to have had my own fear as well, but seeing somebody else kind of panicking and like, oh my God, are we all in trouble? I felt I took that on, and then some years later, writing again, it was a similar thing. In the morning, I took a little bit of somebody else's fear on, and it was just the universe telling me, like, you don't do that. Just don't take even the smallest detail of someone's fear. Just don't take it on.
Right.
You got to be very vigilant with that. So that's a good lesson, for all of us.
Well, they say fear is contagious.
Fear is contagious.
Fear is contagious, absolutely.
Yeah.
So someone walks in the room, and they're just somber.
Yeah.
You're somber. Someone walks in the room, hey, how you doing? How do you feel? You feel good.
Yeah.
So how can fear not be contagious?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
for
us, we don't pick it up as much.
Well, I do.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Because you're empathetic like that?
Absolutely.
Maybe I'm so non-empathetic.
I mean, I do think some people pick up others' emotions more readily than others, and also that's kind of like the dark side of it. But the light side of it, they can also heal and also transmute energy to others as well. They have that sensitivity. But I do feel like we all feel, as we feel the water, as we feel the sun, I feel like we're all energetic. So energetically, we oppress upon each other in a different way, either pulling closer or repelling away. So when it comes to something like fear, it makes sense that you took it on a bit, and that taking on is that what I call contagious, right? And if someone smiles, more than likely, if you're in a healthy place, you smile back. If someone frowns, you're not just gonna be like, "Hey!" If someone's frowning, and so,
exactly.
So you took on a little bit of fear, and and so in taking on that, how do you feel like it affected you?
I know that I almost took it on to somebody else, even my teacher, and I was like, "Hey, we need more gas. We need this." These were the silly kind of things, and he just kind of smiled and laughed. Those things stop with him. It should have stopped with me, to be honest, right? And I think it's upon us all to like be the one that stops it. The fear doesn't have to come here and then over here. It's done right there. So I took it on a little, but again, like the lesson is learned. It's like, okay, these things stop with me. It's not. I'm not going to be the one that keeps it going.
Right.
And it could bounce and they can go off and do it to someone else, but it's not getting in here. It's not getting in my house. It's all this. You can have compassion, but it's just not. I'm not going to take it on.
Right.
That's it.
And do you feel like, I know I didn't know if you were saying you were going to talk about relationships or not talk about relationships. The last thing I heard was a yes. So
we can talk about anything. Sure.
When it comes to relationships,
how
do you feel?
In general?
Yeah.
In general, they're wonderful. I think I really feel they're wonderful. I think companionship is so important. I think human touch is so important. I think, like community is important. So just relationship in general, like friends. I have a meditation every Monday at my house. I think it's really important that just know certain people are going to be there every Monday, that there's friends you can rely on. When it comes to relationship, so to speak, I feel at this point like that authenticity and honesty are the two main things. Whatever the lifestyle someone chooses around it, fine, but that's really, really important. And I mean, people gotta laugh and have fun. I mean, for me, that's what I it's very clear. If I'm not able to joke with somebody, laugh and have a good time, it's probably not gonna work out in the long run. And if the honesty is not there, okay, of course not, and evolution's gotta be part of it too. I guess those are the three big ones.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Evolution. And sometimes people, they don't want evolution. They don't want to change. They just want to, stay the same and consistent, and and they want the other person to be like kind of predictable. They know what you like. They know how to fulfill your needs. How do you feel like that? Is it important to you in your relationships for change, or? Yeah,
I mean, I would have to admit I like predictability too. Like I think we all do. To know that like, oh, we like that together. to go to the beach. But evolution is more important than that, meaning that somebody has a practice of like self-inquiry. Even if outwardly things aren't changing that much, if there's a inquiry going on and a questioning oneself and motives and who they are, and that's the most important thing, so that when things come up, it's not escape. Because if you've ever dealt with someone that's always escaping or never really getting honest or like able to even change, like, oh, like acknowledge, like, yeah, I'm responsible for this, you know,
Right.
then there's nowhere to go. There's just nowhere to go. Once the communication breaks down or someone's not even willing to look at what their part is, where can you go in a relationship? That's what I think. That's what I think. That's when you know it's like, if the communication's not there and people can't listen to each other, you're in trouble.
And what do you do when for yourself when the communication's not there? Is there any way to work around that? If someone's like, just not communication, you love this person, you want to connect, whether it be business or relationship or whatever. Like I've definitely experienced it in both, where some people there's a shut off or a shut down. How do you handle those situations?
I think it's really unique to any moment, but compassion first, you know, because maybe they're just in a tough spot right then, and maybe it's my desire to need things to move forward right then. Maybe they just need some time. They need some space. So I got to check myself if it's me that needs things to keep moving forward, especially in the work life, right? You got a project that you want to move forward and the other people aren't doing it, you know, then your trigger is kind of up. Your agenda's up. That's like the old improv comedy training. You come in with this great idea to a scene and somebody else does something else and you got to drop your idea real quick, your agenda. I think agenda is like the main key to suffering. It doesn't mean I'm over, you know, my own agendas or my own little box of filters, but it's very clear. Input comes in, and we filter it through our agendas, and out comes other thoughts.
Right.
And if you can just stop it before it's getting into that filter of your agenda and just see it for where it is and pull that agenda aside, then we're cool. But I think, you know, to answer your question, compassion. And then sometimes you got to give people a second chance too. I think I'm really big on that. You know, someone might act out in some way, but if that's not normal for them, you definitely offer an olive branch. Is that the saying? You know, offer them a way out. That happened to me with a real spiritual guy, and I just had to say, you know, that's not normally that's not what I know of you. So in case you want to apologize for like acting like that, like what's going on? He's like, yeah, sorry, I just lost my brother. You know, and I'm just like, I'm over this shit, Adam. All the shit, you know, society. I'm like, cool, thanks for telling me. And we worked it out, and it was all good. So I think an olive branch is good, compassion is good. When it comes to a relationship, like in my case, man and woman, if over time, you know, the other person just keeps shutting down, there's no choice. You know, after a while, you just like have to move on.
Right.
What can you do?
Right. True.
You can't make somebody change.
True. Very true.
That's it.
So with all the travel and all the production, how do you get loved up? What do you do for your self-care?
How do I get loved up? That's great.
Loved up?
I like that. I love kriyas, you know, doing kriyas, doing breath work, pranayama, breath work.
Right.
That's one of the quickest ways to get it back
What's
going.
your favorite one?
Oh, I don't have a favorite one right now, but
No.
you want to know a few that I like? The cosmic breath I've been doing.
Okay.
My teacher comes up with so many new ones. A lot of the Shiva kriyas. Shiva kriyas are very powerful for me right now. And then there's a mantra I'm doing a lot, which is Om Namah Shivaya, Shri Shakti Namaha. So Om Namah Shivaya at the third eye. That's like just clearing out kind of the brain, the ego. Shri Shakti Namaha, you're focused at the heart, and that's like allowing the creative energy to come back in. That, especially in a group, when we do that on Mondays, it's powerful. It gets everybody really connected.
And I want you to share, because a lot of time people don't know, like, okay, what is a kriya? What does that look like? What is breath work?
Yeah.
Especially if they're not a yogi or into the yoga world. And then, like you said, there's so many kriyas. And my biggest recommendation to people is just try as many as you can stand trying and see which ones resonate the most with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what is it you're saying, or to explain to people? Or?
Oh no, you just did it. I was telling you while I was having you dive into it.
I'm like, you want me to do it for 3 minutes?
No. I mean, you could take us through one, but we can do that. Inhale twice, exhale
Yeah,
twice.
inhale twice, and it's like claws, like a Shiva trident. And when you're inhaling, you're looking at the third eye.
Yeah,
it works
I love
quick.
that.
It really just
That's
clears
amazing.
out.
I mean,
quick.
even me doing that a couple of times, and everyone listening just doing that a couple of times, you feel a difference. You're oxygenating your cells. It feels amazing.
It feels amazing. So that's my way to love up. Other than and the big thing I'm learning right now is just to like let the universe love me. It might sound cliche, but like there is something to like actually just deserving love.
Right.
And just being like, yeah, I accept it. Right. Yes, I can receive just the essence that is supporting me. I'm working on that. Just really, it taps me in right now. Like that's my practice. That's like what one of these is let yourself be loved.
Absolutely. And we all deserve love.
We
right?
all
We all
deserve
deserve to be loved.
We all deserve it. And sometimes
so
we
beautiful.
keep it away, but we deserve it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you feel like if you could do anything else? Like, do you have any passions or hobbies that spark your interest?
Passions are hot. I used to play a lot of soccer.
So you'd be a professional soccer player?
Oh, if I wasn't in this career, if I could, I tried to be a professional. I mean, I was for a little while. I was about 22, but semi-pro and traveled a little bit with it. So yeah, I love the game. I mean, the game because it's yoga. It's your emotions. It's everything at once. So yeah, I love the game. Professional soccer, but it would have been cool.
Professionals. Who would you play for? I know, I'm putting you on the spot.
Barcelona. I would have played. That would be the ideal. I mean, that's the most beautiful team that there is.
And you're playing for Barcelona.
Sure. And what else?
At the height of your career.
I would use that platform to do what I'm doing now is the crazy thing.
Which is what?
Which is create films and share the yogic teachings.
So it comes back to your Dharma.
Absolutely. So I would only, at this point, really want that because A, it's fun and it's a way to practice and be in it. But two, then to use that to inspire kids and stuff and such to meditate at a young age and use that in sports. I taught the LA Galaxy meditation way back for a little bit, so it came together for a moment,
Yeah.
That's it. No, I'm doing what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing. It's really a pleasure to. I mean, because when we get on motorcycles and go pilgrimage through, to these sacred sites and hike, it's both in one. We're really pushing ourselves like extreme athletes.
Right.
We're absolutely, it's life and death, so you have to be totally focused. So it's the beauty of athletics, as you would know, like where you're just there, and there's something amazing about that. And but at the same time, you're practicing the teachings and around the teachings, and you have someone to guide you, and then we're putting on a film and then sharing it with other people. It's like, you can see why I like to talk about it a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what is your biggest challenge right now?
Wow, right now. I guess not getting caught up in like what I think is difficult circumstance, that I think it's tough for me right now, or it's not going the way I want it. That seems to be the challenge, like just to laugh and have faith and trust and take it easy, dude.
What is not going the way you want?
Timeline of I would have liked the series to have been out sooner. I would have liked Netflix and a couple others to be like more forthright and like saying, yeah, this is exactly what we want, that kind of thing with the series. As it is, they're all looking at it right now, so that could be right around the corner. But my timeline, the universe had a different timeline, which is cool. It gave me time to create the course to go around it too. So, I guess you call it surrender, maybe.
Right, absolutely.
Surrender is my biggest challenge.
Surrender.
Yeah.
And what else do you feel like you want to surrender to in life?
My gosh.
You said you want a deep dive.
You said I wanted to do.
You didn't say that?
I said it too? Okay.
I think so.
I always do. What else do I want to surrender to? I think also in relationship. I'm not sure what, but something in terms of relating with surrender to maybe, I don't know, I guess if I knew what, in this case I would have already done it, but something, when some things are ready to let go, but you're not sure what yet. So we'll see. Maybe that means I'm soon ready to kind of like settle down again. I don't know. Meaning have, one girlfriend, so to speak. Yeah.
And you said again. So
Yeah.
were you married before?
No, not married, but like I said, I was living with a girl and her daughter, and that was sweet.
How long?
That was about 2 years ago.
And how long did it last?
A couple of years, yeah. And before that was a long-term relationship. So it's been nice to have single time and really work on the projects. But I don't know, it feels like something's maybe shifting. Maybe in 2020. We'll see.
Do you feel like everyone's meant to be in a relationship?
No.
No.
See, I just went to this place in Portugal. Let me tell you, it's a place called Tamera, and they and I was doing some filming for a TV idea. But anyway, it's based in radical trust, and it's really based in like duty to the world, but it takes the form of very much free love.
Right.
You know, very much like, hey, if you like somebody's wife, you can just say it in front of the group, like, I'm attracted. Doesn't mean anything has to happen, but they're like, drop the mask.
Right.
They're like, it's so violent to keep this mask on every day.
Right.
Why not just tell everyone, you know, we all know we're attracted to each other.
Right.
Just say it. And if someone wants to sleep with someone else, they can go do it.
Wow.
If they both choose. It's a very mature level of, you know,
communication.
Of communication, yes. And then it happens if people choose, yes, you can have multiple partners, somebody that's your partner, and then you might have someone else that's your kind of lover, if you will. Or so it was eye-opening.
Wow.
Another time when documentary just kind of comes in, it's like, hey, open your eyes, you know? Because I think, you know, like you come out of yoga class, you just kind of love everybody, right? And you're like, you know, it's like you don't think it's not necessarily like it's just for one person by any means. Like you just feel like you can love everyone, and they're just saying, look, if you feel something and but guys both want to act on it, go act on it, and it doesn't have to turn into anything. They have love spaces, little love like huts.
Oh goodness.
I know. It's because they think also that like if you go there and just no one's necessarily has to like be at the other person's place,
right?
And you can just be sacred for that.
In your love hut.
I know, it's interesting.
I mean, that's something as a Southern girl. Like, I'm just thinking monogamy, but of course, you know, since being out here in California, having friends and having, you know, even relationships that are open to polyamory and things like that. And, you know, I feel like, you know, like you said, it takes a heightened sense of maturity.
Yeah.
For that to work. In most situations that I've seen, witnessed, and experienced, that level of maturity is not there.
Yeah.
Compassion for each individual involved. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Because, you know, my question is, where does that, you know, sense of, there's one thing we were talking about earlier, the sense of surrender, and then there's other sense of, you know, connection. And if that connection, you have a connection, you know, between two people and you're building and you're growing and there's frustration, right? Then there's connection with another person. And we talked about communication, how communication for the question is, if in that way, when there should be communications, there's actually connection with another person, is that actually giving a relationship an opportunity to grow? And so that's kind of my biggest question, because I feel like that's the way that usually the things are happening.
Makes sense. Like it's an escape.
It's an escape.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I can't speak for the community, but from what I saw there's a heightened sense of, in some ways, people are going to call you out on that after a while, or it's going to come up, and they'll be like, "Look, you keep running. You're not dealing with the thing that's at hand."
Right.
And they were really clear. They're like, "We don't think this works well out there in greater society, because not everybody is bought in out there to be such a container of trust.
Right.
It really needs that for it to work." So yeah, the polyamorous. I mean, it needs a container, right? It needs a society that's willing to play those rules, playing maturely.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people in the community escape. You know what I mean? Like they're not all saints, right?
Oh,
and then,
most people just do it anyway.
Then they learn after a while.
They say they're in a monogamy, but then they're cheating.
That's true.
On their wives and their spouses. So technically, they're practicing polyamory, even
correct, and betraying their trust.
Absolutely.
Both, yeah.
So I'd rather someone just say, I'm in polyamory, because I feel like so many people are living in that way.
Yeah.
But I do believe it's more of an escape than there's some feeling that I need that I'm not getting from one situation, so I'm getting it from another.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to say that and that be true, but it's another thing to process that and how am I feeling and how is the other person feeling, and allow that opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
You know? And so I feel like in a relationship, the biggest thing that I've learned in relationships is relationships are an opportunity for both people to continue to grow.
Yeah.
You know, but if both people aren't willing to continually grow, one person's growing at a faster rate, one person's not interested in growing, you know, I feel like that's, you know, what I see a lot of, where a lot of the challenges come in.
For sure. If the other person's not willing, what can you do?
So tell me, what is the next project on the table?
Well, I mean, Road to Dharma, releasing that with the course is number one. And then there's another featured doc. I can't talk about it. It's sensitive. And then the other...
And the Heal is already out. So
Heal, the documentary, is out. The Heal book is coming out October 22nd.
Yes.
The HealSummit, which you're in, is October 23rd, free for people online, which is great. And then they can buy the whole thing and own it. So there's a lot of things. The book's coming out, Heal book, HealSummit, Road to Dharma should be out February 2020. This other feature doc I can't talk about. We're raising money for it. It's a little bit adventurous and interesting space I haven't dove into yet. And then another feature doc that we had to put off a bit that was meant to be in Iran.
Right.
And Iran is, as much as I like danger, it's even too dangerous right now. Where the person I was going with is afraid to go even, and they're Iranian. So, but I want to get there. I really want to go to Iran and kind of uncover this. The theme with that one is how threat keeps us from seeing beauty.
Right.
Just the idea of perceived threat, and we never see the beauty. Never see the beauty. Anything, but in this case, we're told Iran is a threat, so we never see that there's beautiful people and culture and all these things.
You're producing film like people put on clothes every day.
Yeah, hopefully.
If someone is wanting to be a filmmaker, what advice would you give them just to get started?
I would say, because I heard my friend Sage, who's an amazing photographer, was speaking to a group of just six ladies at USC, and they were filmmakers. They were studying to be filmmakers, and they weren't feeling drawn to like get into the industry, if you will, and have the job here and make your way up here and here and here. And I think it's because like they just could see through the system already. You know, I think young people are seeing through the system. Like, well, why do I want to make film if I'm just churning out the same old crap?
Right.
You know, that's not making film, really. That's, I don't know what that is. It's a product. It's like Coca-Cola. It's the same thing. It's a addictive substance to keep people engaged. It's not art. Right. So my true advice would be like, you definitely follow the topic you're really drawn to in your life, what you like talking about, what you like exploring. That's a great place to start, because you'll have the passion to keep going even when, you know, you might not be getting paid, you know, or you're doing it as a side job. If you're just doing a cool thing because you think it's going to get you to the next place in career, or that's what people do, it's hard to keep pulling on that, you know, that energy for something like that. But if it's something you really care about and want to put out no matter what, you know, I think.
How long did it take you to start getting paid after you started? This is a question.
This is great. After I started making documentaries, or just in general?
After you started making documentaries. Okay,
so I was in the comedic realm. I was doing improv comedy and then acting and such, and writing. I was writing a lot of comedy, writing kid shows and things. And then first documentary was 2009, 10, we filmed. And so for that one, no, I didn't get paid at all, right? But when we filmed the next one, in fact, I put my own money into my first film, right? I could tell you some stories on that one.
Like what?
Oh, in terms of people taking money from the film and stuff, and I had to come through with then my own money, you know, like you wouldn't believe it, on a conscious film. But
isn't that hurtful? I feel like that's the most hurtful. Like when you're in a church or you're doing something conscious, it's supposed to be like good,
yeah.
and then someone just kind of like elbows you in the gut.
The whole way through post-production. But I mean, but thankfully my guru was like, look, he's like, not everyone has to be there.
Right.
Has to be, just recognize the part that they did feel motivated to do, that they at least were here enough to get the project going. Mm-hmm. Even if they have their ego and their fallbacks, like, don't get caught up. You're just dealing with 5-year-olds. That was his best advice. Just pretend you're dealing with 5-year-olds. Would you get so upset at them? You're like, no, they're just a bunch of 5-year-olds running around. That's what they do. They don't know better. He's like, that's the only way to look at it. Because otherwise you get pissed and triggered and you do stupid stuff, right? And you don't stick to the goal. I forgot when did I get paid? The film after that, the Polygon. We went to Kazakhstan. So, I was paid for that. That might have been 2011 we filmed that.
Yeah, it took a while. Because I think that people now, they just want the instant gratification. I'm doing this. I didn't get paid. It's not working. Yeah. So I just want to share, like, your journey and realize that it takes time.
Oh, yeah, that first film, that's a whole year and a half maybe and putting in my own money before. And then the next film, yes, I got brought in to co-direct and co-produce. Right. I was getting paid, like $750 a week. You know what I mean? Like, but at least was getting paid.
Right. Something's better than nothing.
Something's better than nothing.
You got to start somewhere.
And going to a cool place and an amazing topic and such. So there's different forms of payment too.
Right. Yeah. Is there any one thing you want to leave the community to share?
I just that thing that's been happening for me with the whole that we deserve love. I think that's really important. Mm-hmm. I think if there's anything that gets you into that space where you're able to receive and know that you're taken care of and being loved and showered with all these molecules that keep us alive, I think it's whatever gets you in that space and can help you get there. Do that. Absolutely. Do that.
Do you feel like you're loved and taken care of?
Yeah. I mean, come on, 1,000,000%.
100%, 1,000,000%. I love it.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
How about you? Do you feel that way?
Oh, yeah. Good. I feel so
Good.
loved and supported by the universe. Not without the challenges, but I feel like the challenges do make me stronger. Yeah. In the past, I felt like those challenges were a sign that, I wasn't good enough or I was doing something wrong. But it just took that change of perception for me to realize, no, these challenges are growing you. And so hopefully anyone out there listening realize if you're going through challenges, not to feel like the world or God is beating up on you, but realize that when you face challenges in life, they're meant to, grow your soul. And so you experience, the journey towards whatever it is you're doing. Yeah. Absolutely. It's not like we get somewhere that now we're worthy of love either. Once you've gotten through the challenge, no, you start while you're in it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where can people find you?
Let's see. My production company is at Living Eye to Eye. So the word living, letter I, number 2, letter I, livingeye2eye.com. On Instagram, it's I2I Productions. That's where all the projects come through. Road to Dharma comes through there. Heal, they can find it at healdocumentary.com and Heal Documentary on Instagram. And the book and all that's coming out. So those are the places.
Awesome. And you guys are going to see me on the Heal documentary, the Heal Summit.
The Heal Summit. You're amazing.
All that fun stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been so great talking to you. We're going to throw some love at the audience. Until next time, love yourself, love others, and love the planet. Bye.